Hi, I'm Arkush, along with Edholm here for Pro Football Weekly, and we're usually here with The Way We Hear It, but today we're going to give you a little bit of the way we see it, or at least the way we're interpreting what we hear. By now you all know that James Harrison in Men's Journal has given an interview that has insulted specifically Roger Goodell, also a number of his teammates, and said some things about as ridiculous and sensational as anything we've ever heard. And Eric, I have some definite thoughts about it, but I'm going to tee it up for you first, because when you start calling the commissioner a crook, evil, made a comment about if he was on fire, I wouldn't do something to put him out. I mean, it goes beyond reasonable.
And if we just started with anyone who couldn't read, they can certainly see the guns crossed, in the photo there. Look, I know his name's the nickname is the Hitman. I know there's a video game with that same cover, but come on, you can't do this. I mean, during a slow news cycle when everybody's focused on any kind of NFL news, this is about the dumbest thing he could have done. Although I will say this, I thought his comments about his teammates were the most egregious.
They really were. You know, we were in Tampa, I think it was 3 years ago, for the Super Bowl against the Cardinals, and I interviewed him on Media Day, and I asked him a harmless question about getting sacks and being in the 3-4, and he decided he didn't like the question, and he went after me. Now, that was fine. I'm just a member of the media, but I wrote a column about it. Next thing we knew, I was inundated with 500 emails from Pittsburgh about how can you pick on James Harrison? You're a bigot, you're this, you're that. And the guy, he's a thug. That is basically who James Harrison is, and that's in real life, not just, this is not some act he puts on. But what you don't want to assume is that he's dumb, because he's not, because I believe there's an ulterior motive here. How likely is Roger Goodell going to be to dole out big fines against him, at least early in the season this year, knowing that all this is in the backdrop and now Harrison's called him out?
Yeah, I think the personal comments to Goodell might have a hard time justifying just that alone, but the anti-homosexual comment and the photo that he took with the guns, brandishing those weapons, I think that's going to be his ammo right there for suspending him. I talked to a retired personnel guy and I said, why did James Harrison go undrafted coming out of Kent State? He said, number one, character. That was the biggest question, whether he could fit in an NFL locker room. It took several years before teams even trusted him.
Well, and he's a young man who still has tremendous character problems. Now, he does okay in that locker room. Some of his defensive teammates will defend him. The offensive players don't talk about it much, and it probably is not coincidence that he also went after Ben Roethlisberger and Rashard Mendenhall with his comments in this interview. Didn't go after any of his defensive teammates.
That's a good point. He actually praised Troy Polamalu and talked about how he could deal with Goodell and things like that. But you're right about the offensive guys. There was a report that he called Ben Roethlisberger the day after this broke. So we'll see how it all happens. I think there's got to be either a team or a league suspension here for probably a minimum of 2 games. I think that's how you finally get the message across to him. He complains about taking fines, but he keeps taking them over and over again. I think it's time to send a serious message to him.
Well, and team president Art Rooney is the one guy who got lucky here, because asked to comment, he responded, I will, as soon as we're allowed to have contact with the players again. Can't do that right now. There's more coming on this story. But folks, bottom line, really unfortunate comments by James Harrison that does nobody any good. Not the NFL, not the Pittsburgh Steelers, and certainly not James Harrison. For Pro Football Weekly and ProFootballWeekly.com, he's Edholm, I'm Arkush. Stay with us 24/7 for all the best in NFL news and information.